I'm Ross from Smith Property Accountants in Hamilton. So many people are wondering at the moment, should they be fixing, should they be floating, what should you be doing with loans? And there's so much different information out there. So I thought I'd go through a quick example and see if I can help you a little bit with that decision and decide, should you fix now or should you float, and what can you do with it? So I'm going to share my screen. So hopefully you can now share my screen and you can now see my little spreadsheet and what we're looking at doing. So say that you've got a loan for $1 million, and at the moment you're floating, and the floating interest rate is about 1.15% on interest.co.nz. And the first tip, if you are floating, try and get a better interest rate. Ask the bank, can you get a discount? Is there some way you can reduce that? And a lot of clients, a lot of investors do get lower than this rate. So yeah, try and negotiate, try and get a better rate. Then we look at what's the current 1 year rate at the moment. And as at today, the 5th of September, maybe it's 3.55%. That's sort of round about the best 1 year rate you can get from a normal bank and not HSBC. So what we're looking at is, yeah, the first sort of part is what's the cost of actually being floating? So the longer you float this $1 million, it's costing you the difference between the two in interest. So you're paying, it works out to be $1,333 of extra interest by floating compared with the current 1 year rate. So that's costing you quite a lot. The second part of this is looking at what rate do you expect to happen? What do you expect will happen? So maybe you think interest rates will go down to 3.3% in maybe 3 months' time. No, that's a complete and utter guess. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not saying interest rates are going to go down to that. It's all about what you think will happen. What do you think interest rates are going to go down to? What are you hanging out for? What's this awesome rate that you hope will come up and then you'll fix? And how long away is it? So what we're then looking at is, we know it's costing you $1,333, the difference between the floating rate and the current rate on the $1 million per month. So for 3 months, it's going to cost $4,000. So you need to work out what is that cost for how long you're going to keep on the floating rate for. And in this example, it's $4,000 of cost for you to wait 3 months on floating rather than fixed at 3.55% for 1 year. The second part is, what are you going to save? So if you get 3.3%, it's 0.25% below the current rate. So you're saving 0.25% on $1 million for 3 months. Per month, that actually works out to only be $208 per month. Sorry, not 3 months, 9 months. So in a 12-month term, if you've used up 3 months, then there's another 9 to go. So $208 per month for 9 months means you save $1,875. So yeah, this example, it's costing you $4,000 to float, but you're only saving $1,875. So in that case, you'd be losing $2,000. So there'd be no point waiting. In that example, if that's what you think is going to happen in your rates, you'd be better off to fix for 1 year than you are to wait. If it was 2 months, the cost is still more than the benefit. You're still losing $500. So it would have to be 1 month basically for there to be a benefit and this to make sense. If you think interest rates are going to drop to 3.3 in 1 month, then yeah, that would make sense to wait, because you're going to save $1,000 by waiting rather than fixing now. So hopefully that's given you an idea that, yeah, a lot of the time, if you're not careful, the floating rate is so much more, so you can end up paying a lot more interest than what you save. So in most cases, you're actually better to fix now rather than waiting and waiting and waiting. And as I discussed a lot, it's often better to spread your loans. So hopefully you've got some loans coming up now, some coming up early next year, some coming up later next year. So you've got another chance at this anyway. If interest rates do drop a whole lot, your other loans, you'll then both pick up lower interest rates. And just the big overall tip from this, don't have a huge amount floating. Look at the 6 month or the 1 year rates. Yeah, don't float a huge amount, because otherwise it just costs you. Yeah, if you wait for 6 months on floating for the rates to go down, you're going to cost you $6,000 in interest on that $1 million loan. So be really careful about floating long term, as it costs you a lot more, and look to fix, look at the options around that. Lastly, if you're a client of Smith, yeah, send us through an email to me or to Maurice, or just message us on Facebook. Facebook and we can flick you through the spreadsheet, and that might help you a little bit. Thank you very much.